course, in the mid-'60s, late '60s, the draft was an issue, and a college deferment was actually very attractive at that time. And I always wanted to go to college. And the University of Wisconsin-Superior offered Air Force ROTC. So I signed up and I did 4 years of Air Force ROTC here at the University of Wisconsin-Superior. I went into pilot training, spent a year down in Enid, Oklahoma in pilot training. I was assigned to a B-52 unit up in northern Maine, the 69th Bomb Squadron, and got checked out as a B-52 co-pilot, flying up there, training missions and different types of missions. June of '72, there was a large operation, it was named Bullet Shot, and literally hundreds of B-52s were sent over to support the operations in Vietnam. I was flying a G model B-52, and we went to Guam to fly missions from Guam over Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia over several years. I made 3 different trips over there as a TDY operation and flew 72 combat missions. I did 2 tours in Andersen Air Force Base, Guam, and 1 in Utapao, Thailand. The missions were easily 10 hours, non-stop, takeoff from Guam, fly to Vietnam. We would fly in cells, the 3 airplanes together, and it was a 24-hour operation. Our crew was a 6-man crew, and so we had a navigator and a radar navigator. And they were in charge of the weapons. I was a co-pilot, but then I upgraded to aircraft commander. And my last tour over there, I was an aircraft commander as a first lieutenant. The most common target explanation was suspected truck parks. And basically what you were doing, you were bombing into jungle. We never really bombed a facility or a road or a river or a bridge. It was mostly into jungle. The longest mission was 16 and a half hours from Guam, and that was unrefueled. As a pilot, co-pilot, you were really quite busy for that entire length of the mission. And the B-52 is an amazing piece of equipment with redundancies and 8 engines, so you could always lose 1 or 2 or even 3 engines, and it became an emergency procedure, but it was not that dramatic. We had one incident where a tire blew out and we had to fly the mission with the wheels down. And of course that creates a lot more drag, and then we diverted after the bomb run into Utapao, Thailand. And we landed in Thailand on just several of the wheels that we had. Not all of them were down because of the problem. And as we landed, we blew out the rest of the tires as the airplane came to a rather abrupt stop on the runway. You never knew what was going to happen. I was in for about 5 years, and the war ended. And if you recall, during the Jimmy Carter presidential administration, the huge cutbacks to the military. A lot of pilots were being taken from the cockpit into jobs that were not non-flying jobs, and I made a decision at that time that it was probably a time for me to go do something else. And you'll never guess where I ended up. I ended up at the Duluth International Airport. And so I had a job at the base over here in Duluth for a couple of years, beginning in 1976. And so it was almost like coming back home.